What does this decision say about the shift in power in the NBA, and also what does it say about LeBron James?
Well, clearly the Miami Heat in a great situation right now. They got three terrific players. I was disappointed. I wanted LeBron to stay in Cleveland, to be honest with you. And, I don't blame the guy, but I think it would be a lot more important and significant to win a championship in Cleveland than it would be in Miami if he wins it.
Chuck, you got to tell me, because I'm far from being a star player like you all were, but you have to tell me the mind frame of someone like yourself, being 25 years old and having this decision to stay and being that your team is probably as good as his team was in Cleveland, or going somewhere like that. The decision, like, what would be like the most important criteria for you at that time, being one of the top players in the league?
Well, in fairness, I think that's a very important point and great question. If I was 25, I'd try to win it by myself. Not, technically by myself, but I would want to make sure I was the guy on the team. And I use it as an analogy. We just started giving Kobe Bryant credit the last 2 years. There was that stigma. He hadn't won it without Shaq. You see, we have elevated him because he's won the last two as the guy. And LeBron's never going to be the guy. Dwayne Wade's already won the championship, and so it's his team. I still think LeBron's the best player in the NBA. Kobe Bryant has more help with Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom and those guys. But this definitely, to me, it is a knock, and it's a fair knock, because the reason I say that is to say, if we're going to use that criteria on Kobe Bryant, we have to use it on LeBron James also. And I was very disappointed, because I thought, man, and listen, let's be realistic. Cleveland, to me, they were still one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the NBA. Think about that. They lost to the Celtics. That was a tough matchup. You take away Orlando. They're still in the mix for the best team in the East. And they're probably, other than the Lakers in the West, they would have been in the mix. So it wasn't like, he acted like his team. They've had the best record in the NBA the last 3 or 4 years. So it wasn't like he was playing on a bad team. So I wish that he would have tried to win it by himself as the guy, to be honest with you.
Hey, Chuck, it's C-Webb, and I saw you swinging the golf club this morning, man. Good luck to you.
You're a funny guy, C-Webb.
but Chuck, I grew up watching players like you and other players, and I want to get back to the conversation you just started. And if you could just maybe please explain it, but, when you were 25, or we always based our conversations on who is better than Michael Jordan, or who can be the next Michael Jordan. You usually start with being about 6'5" to 6'7", usually being able to dribble or being the man on your team. Not that anyone is nowhere near as better, but like you say, we just gave Kobe props. What does this do to the legacy of, in your opinion, as a former player, or to the fans of a guy like LeBron who says, I want to win, but I'm going to the best players? I mean, how really do you look at that, seeing him go over there with players that are just as good or some of the best players in the league?
Well, his legacy is going to take a hit. I mean, let's quit kidding ourselves. I mean, and like I say, the analogy I use is, until Kobe Bryant won that championship last year without Shaquille O'Neal, we never gave him the credit. And the last two, this year only enhanced it. So it definitely hurts LeBron. It's Dwayne Wade's team, and now he's got Chris Bosh. So they're going to have a great team, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to go down as Magic, Bird, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, and those guys, like Michael Jordan, he never left Chicago. Kobe Bryant, he bitched and complained a little bit about the Lakers, but he didn't bolt when he had a chance. He wanted to stay and win in L.A. Same thing with Michael Jordan and guys like that. So I admire that. I do. I admire that.
Charles, Lawrence, Frank, take us through the type of sacrifices when you got together with Dream, with Scottie Pippen, 3 great players, 3 Hall of Fame players. These guys obviously haven't reached the level that you have, but the types of sacrifices that each of those guys is going to have to make now, it's technically a totally different role for them.
Well, Lawrence, it's a different situation because all 3 of us pretty much washed up by the time we got together. And that goes back to Eric's question. When I was 25, I wanted to be the guy. I wanted to lead my team to the championship. It would have been more significant. When I got late in my career, I wanted to win the championship. And that, to me, is the big variable in this whole situation. Like, I didn't want to try to get to play with guys. Same thing with Let's go back to Karl Malone and Gary Payton late in their career. Like, they tried to win it by themselves. That's why I admire and respect those guys. Did they go to the Lakers and Gary went to Miami to win the championship late in their career? But they didn't try to piggyback on anybody else early in their career because it would have been important in Utah and it would have been important in Seattle for those guys to win the championship. And like I say, that goes back to Eric's first question. Like, when you're 25, you shouldn't be trying to piggyback on other people. Like I say, I think LeBron's the best player in the world. Everybody turned on him when they lost. They just had a bad matchup against the Celtics. But like I say, if he had Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum and Lamar Odom, he'd win the championship too. But it would have been a lot more significant to win the championship in Cleveland than to piggyback on Dwayne Wade and LeBron and Chris Bosh.
Well, Chuck, they said years ago they wondered if you and EJ and Kenny could be a power trio. If you would have that kind of chemistry, and it all came together. So we just never know. Great things may be in store.
Well, listen, man, I got to tell you something. I just feel sad for Cleveland. It's a great city. LeBron's a great player, and he's a great guy. But, like I say, I'm going to go back to East Snow. When I was 25, I would want to be the man that lead that city to a championship. If he wins the championship in Miami, would it be a great thing? Yeah, it'd be a great thing. But it won't be nearly as significant. And it won't enhance his legacy as it would to be bringing a championship to Cleveland. That's the bottom line.